First Class Productions.
Zoom back to 1996 when Crash Bandicoot spun onto the scene and somehow managed to become Sony's answer to Nintendo's mustachioed plumber and Sega's caffeinated hedgehog. It was a triumph for Naughty Dog and the PlayStation, and for some reason people got a kick out of watching a weird orange animal slam its face into boxes. But as much of a commercial success as Crash 1 was, I have a confession. I never really clicked with it. The controls were stiff, the difficulty was all over the place, and the save system felt like it was designed by someone actively trying to ruin your weekend. It wasn't a bad game, just really rough around the edges. And then, just 1 year later, Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back landed and everything changed. I believe this was the first 3D platformer I ever played. Crash 2 didn't just build on the original, it redefined how I thought video games could feel. Tighter controls, a better save system, and more creative level design. It has been quite some time since I played the OG PS1 version. So join me as I put on my Cortex socks and revisit one of my favorite 3D platformers of all time.
GFrom, the gamer, the legend, he's come to show you the way in this world of games. GFrom Reviews.
The story picks up immediately after the final boss fight of Crash Bandicoot 1. Dr. Neo Cortex, the evil genius with a 5 head you could project movies onto, wipes out over his hoverboard and crash lands into some kind of ominous glowing mine.
Crystals. Of course.
And with that dramatic muttering, we fast forward a year. Cortex is now chilling in a space station with a new assistant, Dr. Engine, because clearly his old colleagues were either defeated or vaporized. He's a turn and burn kind of leader, aka normal politician. So what's the game plan? Well, they've already got the so-called Master Crystal, but they need 25 slave crystals to complete their whatever it is. The point is, Cortex is out of allies, so what's a villain to do?
If we don't have any friends left on the surface, then we need to find an enemy.
That's right, manipulate your former enemy into doing your dirty work for you. Meanwhile on Earth, we see Crash and... wait, that's not Tawna, that's Coco. Tawna's just... gone. Not a word. Not a postcard. Not even a passive-aggressive emoji. This was how ghosting worked back in the 90s, kids. But she was replaced without fanfare by Crash's younger, smarter, fully clothed sister. Coco's laptop battery dies, and because she apparently doesn't believe in power cords, she sends Crash to find new batteries. And just like that, we're back to what this series does best. Smashing crates and parkouring through corridor-shaped jungles. Within seconds, you can already tell, this controls way better than Crash 1. The stiffness is gone. Like the game engine got a tune-up. The movement feels smoother, more responsive. After a brief jog, he's suddenly teleported into a warp room, where Cortex appears via hologram and gives him the big pitch. Go collect crystals. Save the world.
Surrounding you are a series of 5 doors. Through each door lies a well-hidden crystal. The crystals look like this. Bring me the crystals, Crash. That is all I will say for now.
Also, fun fact, if you skip the opening cutscene, you skip that entire playable section and start directly in the warp room. Anyway, this warp room is a game changer. 5 portals, no set order. You pick where to go. It's a huge step forward from the strictly linear path of Crash 1, where every level felt like it was lining up in a row just to punish you. And even better, you can save in the warp room. Look, here's my save from my most recent playthrough in 2016. And there's another little detail that shows just how much more polished this sequel is. Above each portal, you can now see what you're supposed to collect in a level. A crystal and 1 or 2 gems, clear or colored. It's a small perk, but it adds clarity right from the start. No more guessing whether you missed something. Now you know you missed something, and that knowledge will haunt you until you replay the level 3 times with a guide open. Now while you can play the levels in any order, there's occasionally a bit of strategy involved. But mostly it's just up to you. Crash 2 trusts the player more, and that alone sets the tone for everything that follows. Anyway, I'm waddling into stage 1, Turtle Woods. A rainy, muddy jungle that immediately sets the tone. The mud slows you down and nerfs your jump height, but it's more of a squishy inconvenience than an actual threat. Mostly, it just makes Crash look like he's doing a really determined walk through a car wash. We're back collecting Wumpa fruit, jumping over pits, and spin attacking enemies like these cute little armadillos. Then you notice something strange. There's a face on the ground.
What does it mean?
This is where you're introduced to one of Crash's new moves. Jump and press circle for a belly flop. Yes, Crash throws himself chest first into the ground with reckless abandon. You can use it to smash crates or just to assert dominance over the terrain like an apex predator. In this case, your tantrum does something productive. It uncovers a hidden side-scrolling area. Inside this secret section are turtles. If you played Crash 1, you remember the turtles. These ones, however, have a coat of spikes, because everything from your childhood must return slightly more dangerous. You can't spin them, just jump on top, which turns them into trampolines. Nearby vultures show up too, craving your flesh, but they just fly in a straight line and don't really do anything. Like the intern of jungle threats.
Hungry interns? I don't know, maybe they want to steal your lunch? Got my metaphors mixed up here.
Then you meet a new kind of crate, Nitro. These are neon green, violently twitchy and explode on contact. Avoid them at all costs. Do not test them. They are not your friend. Then a huge ostrich shows up, naturally. I need to jump on its back to get high enough to reach some crates. Except I'm too slow and miss my chance.
Did I just mess up my shot at getting 100%?
Thankfully, this isn't Crash 1. Here, if you mess up, you can just throw yourself into a pit and respawn at the latest checkpoint. No perfect run required to get the gem.
It's one of Crash 2's most important changes, forgiveness, and honestly one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
That probably sounds sad, but I stand by it. So I try again, this time using another move, the slide. It's faster than crawling, and if you jump at the end of it, Crash launches farther and higher. It feels great. Like childhood before the crushing weight of responsibility sets in great. Why don't more games do this? It's one of those mechanics you want to spam just because it's fun to control. A little further in, you come across a green iron crate with an exclamation mark on it. Hit it and boom, it blows up every nitro crate in the level, all at once. It's very satisfying, very convenient, and very generous. Why, yes, I would like to remove all the landmines with one button, thank you. Back on the main path, another breakaway floor, this time marked with a question mark, drops you into a bonus stage. And once again, Naughty Dog improved things. You can't fall off into the background or foreground anymore. Invisible walls keep you from making stupid mistakes. It's not as restrictive as it sounds. And if you die, you don't lose a life. You can retry as many times as you like.
This is exactly how bonus stages should be. Smart, polished, friendly even.
If you're aiming for the white gem, you must also destroy every crate in the bonus stage. They're also a great way to rack up extra lives if you're worried about later levels, or if you're just catastrophically bad at platformers. No judgment. At one point I fell into a pit and suddenly found myself surrounded by a bunch of moles popping up and attacking me.
Everyone with a garden hates these things, so I'll take care of them on behalf of suburban dads everywhere.
Once they're gone, a mushroom appears and bounces Crash back out of the hole. You can also slide jump out if you want to feel clever and break the rules a bit. Along the way, I picked up the purple crystal, the main goal in every level, and because I got every crate, I was rewarded with a beautiful white gem too. Crash returns to the warp room and does his iconic victory dance. He does this every time he gets a gem. It still hasn't lost any of its charm. The moves, his expressive face, perfection. Cortex then shows up via hologram to congratulate Crash, which is interrupted by Coco, who can't seem to get through yet. Family drama in the middle of intergalactic crystal collection. But wait, there's another gem in Turtle Woods. Where did I miss it? Turns out, to get the blue gem, you have to beat the level without breaking a single crate.
Yeah, that's a bitter pill. You go from smashing every box to none. If you're thinking that's random as hell, I agree.
This is the only level where this kind of thing happens. Once you know, you know. Until then, enjoy the stage yet again while pretending every box is a nitro crate. As a first level, Turtle Woods is fantastic. It teaches you the basics through gameplay, not tutorials. Like Nintendo's best work from this era, Crash 2 centers the joy of athleticism. And there's more beneath the surface. It's got secrets, challenges, new mechanics, and just enough mystery to pull you into the world. A near perfect opening. I'm stoked to see what's next.
So, you were helping Cortex gather crystals, yet you have acquired a gem. interesting. As long as you are allied with Cortex, you are my sworn enemy, and I will do anything in my power to stop you. If you obtain all 42 gems, I can use them to focus a laser beam that will destroy Cortex and the space station he's created.
So yeah, we're collecting crystals for Cortex and gems for Brio. Crash doesn't seem bothered.
Maybe he doesn't know who to trust, or maybe he just really likes shiny stuff. That's valid.
Snow Go is not only the first snow level of the Crash Bandicoot series, it was also the very first stage I ever played. Yep, this was my introduction to the world of Crash. I remember walking into it, puzzled by the 3 crates sitting right there at the beginning, like a silent test of character.
Smash them? Ignore them? Panic and run away?
What I would give to relive those confused little moments. The level greets you with a snowy wonderland, complete with spinning penguins, chubby seals, and the eternal curse of all platformers, ice physics.
Every gamer loves these.
Nothing says fun like trying to line up a precise jump while Crash skates around like a drunk figure skater. That said, it's not the worst I've seen. You get used to it after a while, but if you're aiming for a very specific crate, good luck. A pattern you'll notice with all snow levels in this game: the long middle section shifts into side-scrolling and tends to be tougher than the 3D intro and outro. In Snow Go though, it's pretty gentle. You can run past the stone crushers with ease. No need to time it, just bolt. The log crushers demand a bit more timing, but they're nothing too sinister. Just don't stop to admire the scenery. Then there's the red gem. As a kid, this thing looked like a forbidden treasure, sitting up there, shiny and mocking you. Today I know it can be reached by bouncing off the seal or the arrow box, but it's a pain to pull off. And you're not supposed to get it yet anyway. It's just there to taunt you. Pure psychological warfare.
Don't worry, you'll be back later with a vengeance.
Eventually you'll drop back into the 3rd dimension, and here's where the devs get sneaky. If you walk towards the camera instead of blindly rushing forward like a normal person, you'll find a green exclamation box tucked away. Easy to miss. So, pro tip, always check behind you. Especially if the path looks too obvious. This game loves hiding secrets in plain sight. At the end you get an endless stream of seals sliding down the slope. They're clearly not endangered. Overall, I love this stage. It's got everything: a nostalgic connection, charming enemies, a taste of future goals, and yeah, some slightly frustrating ice physics. But that's part of the charm. It's a great level, and even on replay, it still puts a big frosty smile on my face. Hang 8 takes a page from the river levels in Crash 1 and adds some much needed excitement. Right from the start, you're dropped into a lush, rushing river environment. There are a few hiccups, like these slow green platforms that make you wait around while they awkwardly rise out of the water, like they're waking up from a nap. Not exactly high-octane stuff. Enemies return from the first game too. Fish and those terrifying man-eating plants. Only now they're purple, which means they've probably leveled up. Also, Crash is still allergic to water. That's where the jetboard comes in. And oh man, it rules. It's fast, it's smooth, it handles like a dream. As long as you're not crashing into mines or getting sucked into whirlpools. In which case it handles like death. Now, because I already got the blue gem from Turtle Woods, I can access a secret route by hopping onto the floating blue platform. Thank you, game, for letting me do this now instead of forcing me to come back later. This side path is essential for the white gem and gives you even more jetboard action, now with added ramps. Speed boost with square, fly through the air, try to not explode. Hippos act as platforms, but don't get too cozy on their backs. They sink if you linger, which is kind of rude. After the level, Cortex shows up again in his weird floating zoom call to tell us he'll check back in once we've collected all 5 crystals in this warp room. Thanks, Doc. Always a pleasure. But hold on, there's one more white gem hiding in this stage. Just before reaching the first jetboard section, a timer starts. That's right, this level has a time trial and the window is tight. Not impossible, but you've got to stay focused. On my first attempt, I messed up and missed the gem by literally a second. Watch it fly away. On the second try, I nailed it with 7 seconds to spare. Redemption feels good. This is a fantastic level. Beautiful visuals, great pacing, and the jetboard segments are a total blast. The pits brings us back into the jungle, but this time the weather's better, which is nice. No more rain, just the evening sky, green trees and mutant animals trying to kill you.
Nature is healing.
Early on, we get a new perspective of an old enemy, vultures. This time they come at you from the front, but they're still easy to deal with. Wait, what's this? A buzzsaw turtle? Yeah, I'm definitely not jumping on that. Instead, you use a slide attack to flip it over. The most unique thing about this level is the branching path. At one point, the route splits, and if you want the white gem, you have to play through both paths. Because the camera never rotates, one of them is always done facing the camera, which is less than ideal.
You know what's fun in a precision platformer? Not being able to see what's coming.
Can't say I'm a huge fan of the execution. Still, it's not a disaster, just kind of awkward. The bonus stage here gives us our first encounter with a locked crate. The only way to break it is with a belly flop, because that's how gravity works. All in all, I'd say the pits is the weakest of the opening levels, mainly because of that split path gimmick. It's still decent, don't get me wrong, but when you compare it to the tight pacing and creative flow of the other early stages, this one stumbles a bit. Seeing as everyone loved the boulder levels in the original, it's no surprise that Crash Dash brings the gimmick back with a twist. This time, Crash isn't running away from a boulder. No. He's being chased by giant snowballs. Because clearly, snow makes everything more dangerous. These levels still play surprisingly well. The path is littered with mines, but unlike the ones in Hang 8, these don't kill you, they just stun you for a second. Which is concerning, considering there's a giant death orb on your tail. On top of that, you get electric fences, which sounds terrifying but are actually pretty fair. There's more than enough time to react. The bonus stage here is a fun throwback. It's styled like the ones from Crash 1, which is a nice little nod to the past. Arrows on the ground give you a speed boost, and I love that. Something about zooming forward while barely dodging mines and grabbing crates is just right. Oh no, sorry bro, you didn't deserve that.
Well, maybe a little.
What is stressful though is trying to hit the crates right in front of the fences. The snowballs don't break them on PS1. The Sane Trilogy fixed that. Damn, I missed one. Had to replay the whole thing just to snag the white gem. As much as I liked the original boulder levels, this one's just so much better. It's faster, it's got more exciting hazards, and the music absolutely slaps.
Before we tackle the first boss, I've got a little secret to share, something I discovered way back when I was a kid. It's actually possible to collect all 5 crystals in a warp room without beating all the stages. Yeah, really. Here's how it works.
Let's say you start in Turtle Woods. You grab the crystal, but for some reason, maybe you're distracted, you die a bunch of times and get a game over.
Game over.
Cortex, by the way, hates when you show up empty-handed. He'll give you one of those "you had one job" speeches.
I said bring me the crystals! To save the world I need crystals. Crystals! Crystals, Crash! Look above the doorways. Above each there is a big crystal-shaped slot. Bring me crystals!
But whatever, move on. Next you hop into Snow Go, snag the crystal, same thing. Whoops! Game over. Do this 2 more times in the next 2 stages. Then in the 5th stage, you actually make it to the end without messing it up. When you get back to the warp room, Crash is holding all 5 crystals like a total legend. I don't know if this is a developer oversight or a hidden shortcut they snuck in for speedrunners or mischievous kids like me, but I bet not everyone knows about this little trick.
Well, now you do. Use it wisely.
By stepping on the central platform in the warp room and pressing up, we're brought to the first boss fight, and it's a familiar face, Ripperoo, Crash's favorite determined marsupial with an explosive personality. Only this time, he's working with the Dr. Un-Bearable. He's had a bit of a glow up. His old arena is now a study, complete with a desk, bookshelves, diploma, and yes, a mustache. Good for him. He even has a cane, hopping around the stage like he's Scrooge McDuck prepping for his thesis defense, leaving TNT tiles wherever he lands. And all we do is pretty much nothing. Just move to a safe tile, let the TNT blow up in his face, and boom, his head flies off and he loses all sense of professionalism. The diploma meant nothing. Same deal, but now it's nitro crates instead of TNT. Doesn't change much, except the stakes are higher and the explosions are greener. Again, we just stroll around politely while he does all the hard work of getting himself hurt. Do this 3 times and Ripperoo is toast. Or at least temporarily restrained. The whole fight is laughably easy, but that's fine, it's the first boss. I preferred this over his old fight, which was more about awkward timing and less about letting him blow himself up like a Saturday morning cartoon character. This one's simple, stylish, and just a little silly. I respect that. Cortex continues to lie right to our faces, but thankfully Coco interrupts him to get at least some information out. Good for her.
You have to be careful. Trusting Cortex seems a little unwise.
He might be a genius, but she's got a functioning bullshit detector. So here we are in Warp Room 2, and wow, it's ice cold, man. Hey, look at this little polar bear. Oh my god. Hello, you.
Can I keep it?
What a cutie. I'd absolutely sacrifice Crash for this bear.
But don't worry, we'll get back to him soon enough.
This time I'm not starting with the first level. I know, how rebellious of me. But there's a reason. I'm heading straight into Air Crash, another watery stream level. And while there's a lot we could talk about here, I've got something specific in mind. Because you see, throughout this game there are hidden warp spots, like secret teleporters that lead to entirely new areas. In Air Crash you reach one by carefully hopping across a row of crates in the water and landing on an otherwise unreachable platform. This zaps you into a secret warp room on top of Cortex Castle. And let me tell you, when I found this as a kid, it felt like I had joined a club with a secret handshake. And what's the reward for our curiosity? There's only one portal open at this point, and surprise, it takes you back to Snow Go. Yep, the same level as before, only now you're entering from the secret red gem path. This section is considerably harder than anything we've seen so far. It's like the developers were like, you found a secret? Cool, now suffer. Cute little hedgehogs become unstoppable charging spike monsters when they rolled up. And the only time you can attack them is when their spikes retract. Which is harder than it sounds, because you're still dealing with those godforsaken ice physics, which feel like trying to platform while wearing banana peels for shoes. In a moment of triumph, I finally collect a third Aku Aku mask, triggering invincibility. God mode is back, baby. Even the Law Crushers now cower before my glowing aura of justice. Crash just sprints through the end like he owns the place. And at the end of this icy gauntlet, the red gem. The same one that taunted me earlier. It's finally mine. Sure, I still have to make it through the rest of the level to keep it, but at that point, nothing can stop me. So yeah, great secret, great payoff, great sense of discovery. But man, I really don't want slippery frustration physics to be the hill I die on. From one snow level to another, we slide right into Snow Biz. It starts out innocent enough, but it's not long before the side-scrolling section rolls in with more of those hedgehogs. And would you look at that, a red gem path.
And that's why we got to the red gem first, kids.
I braced myself, thinking this section was going to destroy me emotionally and physically. But with a bit of patience, I made it through just fine. No massive reward here, just a bunch of crates, which of course count towards the precious white gem at the end. And then this happened. Of course. The last checkpoint was back in the red gem path.
So much for a flawless run.
Let's try again. Wow. Third time's the charm. That red gem section started feeling like a seasonal job I couldn't quit. But eventually I made it through, and the final stretch suddenly turns into the winter edition of Jungle Rollers. Except, you know, slippery. So yeah, Snow Biz is fairly simple overall, but it taught me a valuable lesson. Sometimes the hardest part of a level isn't the enemies or the traps, it's my own reckless optimism. Alright, back to Air Crash, this time without secret warps or crate hopping shenanigans. Just a straight run through the level. Well, as straight as it gets in a river full of mines, whirlpools and misjudged jetboard jumps. It's a little more demanding than Hang 8, but the jetboard sections are still a total blast. Just pure joy. Until... ooh, what's this? I'm glad you asked. That suspicious skull platform you see? That's a death route. And it only appears if you got here without dying. This route ramps up the difficulty, and I mean it. It's not here to make friends. There aren't even any crates to collect, just you and the level designer's wrath. But hey, make it to the end and you're rewarded with a white gem anyway, just for surviving. A little treat for the clinically persistent. With the crystal in hand and one more white gem locked away behind future abilities, we'll leave Air Crash for now. I'll be back. I'll always come back. I'm being a little cruel, just a tiny bit. I jumped 10 times on the adorable little polar bear sitting outside the level. Why? Because a cheat book from the 90s told me to. It claimed you'd get 10 lives for your crimes, and yeah, the legend's true.
Sorry bro, but I'm a sucker for life. Wait, that came out wrong.
Anyway, Crash straight up tackles the poor thing and takes off. It's just like the hog ride from Crash 1, but this time you're in a sad-eyed polar cub. And it's amazing. There's even a sprint button now, letting you launch yourself like a furry missile. You can't touch anything or it's instant death, but at least Polar always survives, which is more than we can say for Crash. What really seals the deal are the death animations. They're hilarious. It's a Looney Tunes reel of pain.
Fun little anecdote, when I first showed my youngest brother the PlayStation, he was just 2 years old. This was the first thing I showed him, and honestly, I stand by that decision.
It's cartoonish, chaotic, and incredibly fun. Easily one of the best stages in Crash history. Crash Crush is another one of those snowball escape scenes. Electric barriers return, now with variants you have to slide under like you're training for the Bandicoot Olympics. There's a split path, which is great for anyone who enjoys smashing crates for completion. Turbo pads debut here and they're helpful for keeping distance between you and the giant death sphere. If you're not using them, the boulder might flatten you like a breakfast pancake when you go back for crates. The bonus stage even hides a secret area right at the start because the game just loves rewarding people who second guess everything. This one's a solid upgrade from Crash Dash. More intense, trickier, but deeply satisfying when you get all the timing right. Run fast, smash crates, and pray to Aku Aku you don't blink at the wrong moment. The Eel Deal marks the very first sewer level in Crash history, and in true video game fashion, it's exactly what you'd expect from a sewer. Hazardous and likely in violation of every known safety code. Here you're dodging fans, spinning scrubbers, and electric eels that look like they've been waiting their whole lives for you to mess up. Seriously, they just hover there, judging you. There's also a pleasant sprinkle of spiked rats, because normal rats apparently weren't hostile enough. Pretty early on, you're hit with a fork in the road. Go right and you're greeted by a forest of nitro crates. But if curiosity hasn't died in you yet, you'll try walking through the wall. And yes, it's a fake wall. What kind of Mario 64 nonsense is this? Venture deeper and you'll get rewarded with a green gem. But then you have to backtrack through the eel corridor of doom. I died, which sounds bad, but actually saved me a bunch of backtracking. Sometimes, failure is efficient. Later on there's another fork. Left path, the crystal. Right path, a suspicious hole in the ground. Go down and you get to test out your monkey bars technique, dodging robot sentries like you're in Bandicoot Metal Gear. I actually really like this level. It's got a good mix of traps, sneaky secrets, and varied movement. If you're into platforming with paranoia, this is your sewer sanctuary. Alright, boss time again. This time we're up against the Komodo Brothers, otherwise known as Komodo Mo and Komodo Joe. And together they perform an extremely disorganized Cirque du Soleil act. Joe gets spun around like a Beyblade by Mo, presumably without consent, and careens across the stage. Just dodge his dizzy self, then give him a quick spin into his brother like you're playing reptilian pinball. Bonk. Mo is now throwing giant swords. They're slow, easily avoidable, and feel more decorative than deadly. In phase 3, Mo occasionally tosses a sword mid-spin, which is technically more dangerous, but still very manageable. The whole fight is over before it really starts, but I like it. It's simple, snappy, and doesn't overstay its welcome. Also, bonus points for the aesthetic. The Komodo Brothers look like they were pulled out of a forgotten Mortal Kombat side game.
Remember, the world is counting on you.
Welcome to Warp Room 3, which is mostly pipes, sludge, and the smell of broken promises. First stop, plant food. The third and final river stage. Which means, yes, more jetboard action. And if you've been paying attention, you know I'm all in on these levels.
Big fan. Massive fan. Put jetboards in my breakfast cereal.
On my first run, I scooped up the crystal and the white gem without much issue. But then comes that shiny yellow gem. Again, you have to beat the level before the clock runs out. Thankfully, it's very doable, though there's one section where it feels like you're basically required to take damage. Bring Aku Aku along and you're golden. All in all, this level keeps the River Trilogy strong. Jetboards, hippos, and timed pressure, just how nature intended. Sewer or Later, and no, I'm not making that title up, is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a grimy return to the pipes and peril aesthetic, complete with killer fans and the comeback of everyone's favorite workplace hazard. The lab assistant, now with a flamethrower. You know the drill, wait for him to finish burning air and then slap him into early retirement. Now, because we've snagged the yellow gem back in plant food, we can take the yellow gem path.
What's behind it? Secrets? Treasure? Enlightenment?
No, just a clear gem and a mild electrocution. That gem appears immediately like a fast food order, but I, like an ambitious fool, thought there must be more, right? So I kept going, again and again, until the only thing I gained was the knowledge that, no, you don't need to do this. You can't even grab all the crates from here. You literally have to die or backtrack to continue the level normally. Now that's game design. Once you're back on the main route, it's sewer business as usual. Some fans spin way too fast, but you can spin scrubbers into them 3 times to shut them down. Infinite scrubber supply too. The economy is booming in fan neutralization. The level ends with a split path, again with the crystal on the left. But it's hard to care because the yellow gem path is such a mislead. It gives you the prize right away, then just leaves you to suffer with nothing to gain. It's a bit of a stinker, and not just because it's in a sewer. Bear Down. The name alone fills my heart with joy. Because yes, he's back. Our adorable, slightly terrified polar pal returns, and this time it's sunset, baby. Time to ride like it's the golden hour of gaming. It starts off much like Bear It, but this one's got a bit more bite. The sense of speed is cranked up, tight dodges are required, and just like before, Polar always survives. Even if Crash gets frozen in ice. Love that for him. I gotta ask, what's up with the lab assistants? What are they even doing here? Standing around in the tundra just lifting crates for no apparent reason. It's like CrossFit but somehow less productive. The ride's fast, clean, fun, and ends with a beautifully cinematic launch across a frozen lake. I remember seeing those mysterious platforms bobbing in the distance as a kid and thinking, wait, what if I... And sure enough, you can jump across them to reach a secret warp.
That discovery felt magical, like unlocking a cheat code just by being curious.
As levels go, Bear Down is short, sweet, and pure joy, topped off with a neat secret. Strong contender for the best level in the game. Air Crash Part 3. The Cratening. This time we're not coming in through the front door. Nope, we're sneaking in from the secret warp room, courtesy of our airborne polar bear stunt. And what's waiting for us? 3 extra lives dangling above water like they're taunting you. To nab them, you need to bounce perfectly across crates, all while being chased by the ghost of platforming eras past. Respect to those who can do it flawlessly. You are the chosen few. I am not among you. The jetboard section is short, but it's easily the hardest of them. Once you've powered through it and survived with all crates in hand, congrats! You now get to play the entire level again. Why? Because only now you can finally grab every crate for the gem. And here's the kicker. If you mess it up, miss 1 box, well guess what? You're doing Bear Down again. And then crossing those little platforms again. And then doing this again. I like Air Crash, I really do. But 3 separate visits? I'm starting to feel like I should pay rent here. Road to Ruin wastes no time trolling you. The moment it starts, there are invisible boxes just chilling on the left, laughing at you. So what's waiting for us? Possums, fire-spitting idol heads, and a bizarre creature that looks like a rejected Pokemon. I used to think it was a walking plant with trust issues. Turns out it's a lizard with actual issues. There's another death route, and what does it ask of you? Jumping over rolling logs. What is this, Donkey Kong? It does in fact lead to a giant ape, which honestly feels like the most Nintendo thing that's ever happened in a Sony game.
I half expected the guy to throw barrels and kidnap Tawna.
It's not too hard though, even with the crumbling platforms and tilting pillars trying to give you vertigo. Finish it and you're rewarded with a white gem, which is great because you were just told that you can't have the other one. Neat. Then comes the bonus stage, which channels the unholy spirit of Road to Nowhere. You activate a bunch of iron crates in succession, running back and forth. Oh joy, the monkeys are back. Except now they've apparently gone full energy drink sponsorship and are bouncing around like they fell into a coffee pot. Wait, what? No crystal? How could I miss it? I go back in, retrace my steps, and discover that because I took the death route, I skipped the part where the crystal was quietly sitting, minding its business. That's cold, game. Still, despite the deception, the vibes are immaculate. The ancient ruins atmosphere is peak Crash, and the challenge feels fair. Un-Bearable. You think you know what's coming. Another charming bear riding level. Scratch that. A giant ass polar bear is on my tail. This beast is massive, menacing. Freaked me the hell out as a kid.
A boulder is predictable. You can reason with a boulder.
This thing? It's angry and probably hungry too. You break fences and sprint past salamanders. The bear goes down eventually, but surprise, another one. They brought reinforcements. Eventually that bear falls into a pit, and here's where the game hits you with another curveball. Because if you jump down the pit, instead of dying, you enter a secret side-scrolling gauntlet of doom. Why I jumped down there as a kid, I don't know. This section is stress in 2D. You've got rifle-toting lab assistants straight out of a bootleg Looney Tunes cartoon. You've got an armored armadillo who can only be defeated via belly flop physics. You've got moles, because why not? And you've got regret, because I died quite a few times and dodging the constant array of incoming bullets can be exhausting. Oh what? There's a green exclamation crate hiding in plain sight right after this part? I could have made it easier on myself. Oh well. Eventually you make it to bear chase number 3, which honestly starts to feel like a sport by now. And then you see him. Polar, my dude, my fuzzy son. This final segment has you riding Polar at light speed, crashing into electric gates like a sugar-addled sled dog. It's short, sweet, and pure joy. The level ends and... I missed 2 crates? Where? Where?
The last 10 crystals will be the hardest to gather. And my... our enemies will be sending their strongest forces to thwart you.
That's fine and all, but I'm not done here, man. Turns out those crates were hidden in the side-scrolling section, tucked away like they owe taxes. So yes, I did the whole thing again, got the white gem and did something even more bonkers. You can go back to Polar at the end of the level and teleport to the secret warp room. So yeah, Un-Bearable isn't just one of the best levels in Crash 2, it's one of the best levels in the entire series. It's got surprises, stakes, and the greatest polar bear since Coca-Cola's Christmas ad campaign. And sure, I could have done without the bullet festival in the middle, but everything else? Chef's kiss. You thought we were done. You thought wrong. The newly unlocked portal gives you a whole new level. And not just any level. A full-on high-speed, pitch-black, polar-powered adrenaline overdose called Totally Bear. And I mean that literally. It's nighttime. You can't see all that much until it's practically on your snout. It's actually required to sprint at certain points. There's one box in particular that I kept missing. Your timing has to be perfect. At least this time you don't have to restart the entire level like it's the first game. I wouldn't call it brutal. Challenging? Yes. Stressful? Absolutely. But if you mess up, it's because you weren't good enough. And I like that. It's the most skill-based bear stage in the game, and pulling it off feels like you just defused a bomb using only your thumbs and raw instinct. And when it's over, that's it. No more Polar. This is his last ride. The final goodbye. Until we meet again in Crash Team Racing where he drives a cart. Totally Bear is an appropriately named send-off. It's intense, it's satisfying, and it reminds you why these bear levels are so beloved. Good night, sweet Polar. May your tiny paws find attraction wherever you go. We're leaving Warp Room 3 behind, waving goodbye to eels, bears, and scrubbers. But before we can strut into the next set of levels, there's one last thing to take care of. A charming little guy called Tiny. And by little, I mean the exact opposite. Compared to him, Koala Kong looks like a Build-A-Bear. The concept is simple. There's a grid of 9 platforms suspended over what I can only assume is bottomless abyss. Tiny follows you like an over-enthusiastic fitness coach. Every few seconds, some platforms blink red and start to drop. Your job is to play the most dangerous game of The Floor is Lava ever programmed, leading Tiny to fall like a big, angry orange rock. Sometimes it works like a charm. Other times only one platform lights up, and you're running in circles while Tiny plays tag with murder in his eyes. Then the game flips the script and lights up almost all the platforms. The fight's not bad. It's got a fun gimmick and it's a good test of spacing and timing. But it can drag a bit and there's not much escalation between phases. That said, Tiny himself? Total MVP. His design is iconic and his presence memorable. So we beat the big cat, take a victory spin, and move on to Warp Room 4. So Cortex doesn't even say hi this time? Wow, he's ghosting me. Rude. It's fine, I don't need him. I've got my own plans. Time to literally hang out in the third and final sewer level. Hangin' Out. The scrubbers in here, they're done. They see you and just start yeeting themselves at your face. Most of the level is about monkeys swinging over sizzling hot pipes. Partway through, there's a classic walk towards the camera secret. As a kid, I always paused the game here to get the most perfectly stupid freeze frame of Crash. You know, sometimes it's the little things. I made sure to grab the crystal and white gem first before backtracking and jumping down the hole to the secret stash of extra lives. A suspicious amount of extra lives. And yeah, about that, hello sewer mechs. It actually feels impossible to get past the first one. I died so many times I actually triggered a sympathy Aku Aku mask. It's like the game gently patted me on the shoulder and said, "Here, you clearly need this." It helped.
Turns out I did it wrong.
You can press circle to lift Crash's feet. You know, the one move that makes this section go from Dark Souls of sewer levels to actually pretty manageable. I somehow forgot about it entirely. Overall, this is probably the weakest of the sewer trilogy. It's fine, but it feels more like the warm leftovers of the Eel Deal rather than something fresh. Still, it's got its moments. Okay, sewer tour's over. Let's keep moving. The secret path in Hangin Out was a one-way ticket to the final level of the game. Totally fly.
Do I get to ride a fly?
Of course not. That would be too much fun. Instead, we're back in the jungle, but this time it's completely pitch black. Someone forgot to pay the electric bill. The gimmick here is that little fireflies will light your way, but only for a short time. Think of it like the white Aku Aku mask in Crash 1. With pits, nitro crates and enemies lurking in the dark, this level basically whispers,
"Go fast or die."
In the bonus stage, the firefly doesn't even bother to stick around. It just flies away at its own pace like it's late for a Tinder date. You have to keep up with it or risk being swallowed by darkness. Surprisingly, I got through this part on my first try. One part that really grinds my gears though, there's this section where you have to smash a row of locked crates before you grab the firefly. Sounds simple, right? Nope. It's basically a trap. If you break the crates while the lights are still on, you'll be hopelessly blind before you reach the next firefly. Unless you've got the entire layout memorized like some kind of Crash savant, you're either belly flopping blindly like a maniac or sacrificing a life to scout ahead. My strategy? I just panic jumped along the edge and somehow survived. It's cheap, it's ugly, but it worked. Also, like Totally Bare, there's no crystal here, just a single white gem. I'm a bit mixed on these dark levels. I don't hate them, I think the concept is kinda cool, but I can't say they're my favorites either. Still, I appreciate that Crash 2 keeps things fresh with a level like this. Diggin It feels like it's about to be another boulder level. Turbo pads? Mines? Electric barriers? But no boulders or giant polar bears. The plants here spit seeds that explode like grenades. Luckily, if you get close, they cower like you just told them you're bringing salad to the barbecue. Perfect time for a belly flop. There are also sentient statues that you can't destroy, but they're super easy to walk around. The bonus round offers a treasure trove of extra lives if you figure out how to find them. Soon enough, we hit a split path, one of which is a death route. This is where the bees make their debut. You stroll past a hive and, surprise, you're now the main course. You can spin to defeat them with perfect timing, but let's be real, I'd rather run away in fear. Successfully completing the death route rewards you with a white gem. But wait, we're not done. The real headache begins when you have to backtrack towards the camera on the other route. My favorite thing in Crash Bandicoot.
That's a lie.
In hindsight, I could have taken the right path first, done all the backtracking nonsense, and then tackled the death route to save myself some panic. But who has time for logic? You can burrow into soil patches to hide from the bees like a scared little groundhog. You can even attack them. This makes the bee threat significantly less terrifying. Towards the end, a lab assistant comes at you with a mallet. Like, dude, take it easy. This isn't Whack-A-Bandicoot. I managed to grab the crystal and both gems, but wait, there's more. If you belly flop on a specific plant near the end, you get teleported to the secret warp room one last time. I actually really like this level. The bees, the digging, good stuff. But seriously, can we stop with the backtracking now? Please? The final portal in the secret warp room brings us back to Road to Ruin. You remember, right? The one with the invisible crates that laughed at me from the beginning? Yeah, we're not done with it. This time we access the secret path. Whenever I see this many crates, I get suspicious. Turns out for good reason. Naturally, after grabbing all the crates in this short section, you have to play the entire level again. I love Road to Ruin. I love the look, I love the vibe, but this extra run feels like busy work. But hey, there's a silver lining. We're officially done with the first 3 warp rooms. Cue the victory dance.
Cold, hard Crash. Oh boy.
Even just saying the name makes my palms sweat. In my memory, this is the hardest stage in the game. It's long, packed with hazards, and the crate layout is a masterclass in psychological warfare. It starts off deceptively normal with the usual snowy 3D section. Then the 2D part arrives, and it's like the game goes, alright, time to ruin your afternoon. I had to restart the level once because I died before I got to the death route. And the death route itself? A frozen nightmare filled with ice physics, log crushers, nitro crates, hedgehogs, and crates hidden behind foreground elements like they're shy or something. I barely survived thanks to double Aku Aku, which I guess would be Aku 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 Aku. At the end, you get a wonderful little choice. Grab the white gem now and move on with your life, or backtrack to the main course for the remaining crates. You can't do both. So yes, you have to play this level at least twice if you want full completion. Isn't that fun? The normal path offers even more foreground shenanigans. Can't say I'm a fan.
In the past, I replayed this level so many times just because I missed one measly crate. I lost sleep over this level.
But now, I'm older, wiser, slightly dead inside, and weirdly, I think the level is actually fine. Except for the forced replay part. That's still evil. Cold hard crash. Cold, hard, and you will crash. Ruination kicks off dirty. A nitro crate hidden behind regular crates. Real subtle, guys. More invisible boxes like in Road to Ruin. Give me those sweet bonus crates, baby. I should've known. That's on me. Pro tip, on the PS1, the green iron crate will still blow up these sneaky nitros even if they're invisible. Anyway, this is where the green gem from the Eel Deal finally pays off. Welcome to yet another Donkey Kong fan club meeting. Now with higher stakes. If you've got the original arcade game in your DNA, you'll get through this gem path just fine. But I wonder, do I need to backtrack for crates? Probably. Might as well jump into a pit to get back to the checkpoint. Sure enough, I would have missed a whole batch of them, including the bonus stage. Totally worth it. The rotating pillars here give me instant stress. I know they're not that bad, but my brain still screams in terror. Yeah, and sometimes I suck at precise jumps like with this iron crate. Third time's the charm. Humbling. But hey, I completed it in one run and got to glance at the only time the warp at the end has a hole in the wall. Much like the first Ruin level, I love this one for the vibe alone. But it's a huge win that you can 100% it without multiple playthroughs. Behaving. Oh no, more bees? Yep, this time they come in swarms, faster and way more aggressive. Those soil patches aren't just decoration, they're your best friend. I read somewhere that if you manage to kill the whole swarm without getting hit or ducking into soil patches, you get an extra life. I don't think I've ever pulled that off. That constant buzzing noise though, instant anxiety. Just get away! Later on, there's a suspicious cluster of nitro crates that don't explode on contact. Instead, they lead you to a secret area, kind of like the one in Un-Bearable, complete with hunters and iron-armored armadillos. This secret holds the purple gem right at the start, which means I now have all of the colored ones. Gotta nail the timing. So close to the end. No big deal though, there aren't any crates here, so no need to replay it. And just when I thought I dodged the beast this playthrough, they got me right at the finish line. That's life, I guess. I actually like this level way more than Diggin It, mostly because it sticks to a simple linear path. That secret is a curveball though, I'm pretty sure I didn't figure it out on my own back in the day.
Use the platform to deliver the crystals to Ink.
So now I'm supposed to hand over the crystals to Engine. Bold strategy to snatch them from me after I've collected only 20.
You know, you could have waited until I had all 25 and saved yourself the trouble. But hey, villain planning isn't what it used to be.
Brio must have run out of goons because this is the fourth boss.
Like Dr. Cortex said, each 20 crystals you have collected me.
The fight's a bit different. Crash finally stops hoarding Wumpa fruit like a squirrel prepping for winter and starts using them as ammunition. You can't spin, you just pelt this giant robot like you're in a high-stakes food fight. First you need to aim for the mech's hand while dodging laser beams. Then Engine switches to rockets, which makes his shoulders the weak point. The final phase is him sweeping the arena with a giant green laser that disintegrates platforms. No big deal, just keep fruit spamming until he goes down. I actually like the change of pace here. Crash finally weaponizing his daily snack is a fun twist, but the fight itself is a bit slow. Memorable? Sure. Thrilling? Either way, thankfully, we'll be seeing Engine again in later games.
What is your problem, Bandicoot? ask you again to bring me the crystals. Obtain the remaining 5 crystals, Crash, and bring them to me.
Well, someone's cranky. Anyway, Crash obediently presses on. Only 5 more levels to go in warp room number 5. Welcome to Cortex Space Station, starting with Piston It Away. Oh yeah, we're in full side-scroller mode now. You know, the type I wasn't exactly throwing confetti over back in Crash 1. Let's see if this one can change my mind. The hazards are pistons trying to flatten me like a pancake, robots that can only be slide tackled, and these bizarre wiggly tentacle things. When their arms are down, you can jump on them. When they're up, you slide. Simple, right? Except when some of them mix it up like they're playing Just Dance. The level's already annoying, but wait, it gets better. There's a death route. Getting there without dying is its own private nightmare. And when you do make it, jumping across the tentacle robots here is like trying to cross a river on floating pool noodles. Somehow I made it to the white gem. Sweet relief. Or so I thought. Missed 19 crates at the end. Can't go back. Beautiful. Love that. Restart. This time I ignore the death route and press on, only to run into the hardest bonus stage in the game. No debate. Took me a few tries to figure this out. First, you carefully don't destroy certain crates, activate the switch at the far right, then moonwalk back left across the crates you miraculously left alive. Oh, but we're not done. Go back right again, because we're doing laps now. The final jump is far, but a slide jump plus a mid-air spin to squeeze out those extra few pixels of distance will do the trick. Now onto the rest of the level. What? How? Why? Oh my god, now I have to restart the entire level again. Later I meet new lab assistants who are standing around with shields and gently shoving me? I think they're just lonely. Also, their scream when they fall is still comedy gold. Once you finally survive all that, you have to backtrack to the death route and beat that too. I think you're supposed to leave one of the tentacle bots alive to use as a lift, but you can also pull off a slide spin jump and cheese your way up. Naturally, I died there. That's when I was reminded what the arrow pads really do. Welp. Guess this is the Minish Cap crossover no one asked for. Eventually I scraped through, snagged the second white gem and clocked out after 23 minutes. The longest level in this entire run for me. I gotta say, it's tough, sometimes even fun, but the backtracking? Gimme a break. Time to strap on a jetpack.
Alarm! 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 Alarm!
I think Rocket is pretty divisive. You know why? The controls are kinda bonkers. You steer vertically and horizontally with the D-pad, but to actually move forward or backward, you press square and circle. Pressing up makes you fly down and vice versa.
It's like the developers just spun a wheel and went, yep, that's the control scheme now.
But hey, this was before analog sticks, so I'll give them a pass. They did what they could. Nowadays, I'm kinda cracked at this. The trick is to slow down. Take your sweet time, because these tight space corridors are filled with hot pipes, lasers, etc. Everything wants you dead. And as a bonus, you've got flying lab assistants trying to tase you into next week. Remember those jerks from the lab in Crash 1? Yeah, they upgraded. Out of all the hazards, the live wires are probably the nastiest. I read that the jetpack buzzer is much faster in this PAL version. Interesting. Still, within a few minutes, I had the crystal and gem in my metaphorical jet-powered pocket. I had a blast. Once the controls click, this level's great. Bring on the next one. I'm ready to rock this. Night Fight is another Firefly level. Technically, it's the first Firefly level. This one comes with a split path and naturally a death route. And me, being the strategic mastermind that I am, went for the death route first. Pro tip, maybe don't do that. There are crates sprinkled across both paths, so you'll need to cover the entire level if you're after that sweet 100%. But here's the twist. Night Fight is the only death route in the game that lets you enter from the back. Which means, for once, backtracking doesn't feel like a cruel prank. The death route only has 2 crates near the end, so you can mop those up pretty easily without the usual headache. Spiked flying saucers help light up some areas, and overall I feel it's much simpler than Totally Fly. I actually like this one, it had better pacing. There's one more jetpack level waiting for you, Pack Attack. And you know what? I love this one. It throws even more hazards at you, but for some reason that just makes me like it more. I totally vibe with the chaos here. Lasers, tight corridors, live wires, bring it on. It's like the level looked me in the eyes and said, "You sure about this, Chief?" And I said, "Oh."
Oh, I'm sure.
3 minutes later, I completely steamrolled it. Dominated. Didn't even break a sweat. I needed this one. After the stress of some of the levels, this was like a nice little ego boost. A confidence snack. I feel powerful again. Thanks, Pack Attack. You get me. Level 25, Spaced Out. Yep, another side-scrolling space station adventure. And by adventure, I mean a gauntlet of things trying to squash, zap or burn you. The bad news? You have to play it twice because there's a colored gem path. The good news? There's no mandatory backtracking, so we can skip it for now. Structurally, it's very similar to Piston It Away, but this one cranks up the difficulty. I prefer this stage mainly because it spares me from the backtracking circus, as there are no crates in the gem route. This means I can scoop up the final crystal and the first white gem of the level in one smooth run. Efficient, clean, no fuss, just the way I like it.
Yes! My plan is nearly complete, and I have you, Crash Bandicoot, to thank for it.
Going to harness the Force and use it to power the Super Cortex vortex he has built on his space station. One blast of the ray will cover the entire world, turning everyone into Cortex's mindless slave.
Engine, you fool! She's telling him everything!
Cortex is officially losing it now, full psycho mode engaged. But before we hunt down that one missing gem, let's jump straight into the final boss because there are two endings again. So here we are, Neo Cortex laughingly trying to escape with a jetpack.
Flashback to little me visiting my dad. He was deep into the game but stuck right here because of the weird jetpack controls.
At the time, I couldn't handle the controls either, so it took us ages to finally chase him down. This time you don't get to take it slow. It's a linear chase through space, dodging meteorites and mines along the way. You need to sneak in 3 hits before he slips away for good. I clipped him right at the finish line. Victory! As a final boss, it's pretty underwhelming. Not exactly the thrilling climax you'd hope for, but it's still more creative than Cortex's first game performance.
Crash, what do you suppose happened to Cortex? And what about the Cortex vortex? It's still up there.
You're right, Coco. We're not done yet. Roll credits and boom, you're back in the warp room. Time to hit that sweet, sweet 100%. The only thing standing between you and glorious 100% completion is the colored gem path in Spaced Out. It's like a greatest hits album, but instead of music, it's pain. Each gem throws its own little trial at you. First up, the blue section. Pistons and floating tentacle robots. Breezed through it. Even pocketed a few extra lives like I was grocery shopping. Green, however, wasn't here to make friends. It's packed with shrink rays and those lovely robot walkers. If you die, it's back to the very start of the level. Love it. Second attempt. I should have brought Aku Aku. Third attempt. My hands were sweating, but I pulled through. That was unpleasant. Yellow gem? Oh, now we're back to baby mode. Just some pistons and floating platforms. Very chill. Red gem? Shrink race again, plus those shield pushing lab assistants. They're a real pushover if you catch my drift. Finally, the purple gem path, a straight shoot to the last white gem of the game. That was kind of fun. All in all, not a bad level, especially compared to Piston It Away.
You have acquired all of the gems. I can destroy the Cortex vortex forever.
Well, you're completely insane too, but for some reason, I trust you. So Brio powers up all 42 gems and nukes the Cortex vortex out of existence. Boom! Just like that. And with that, the game wraps up. Neither of the two endings will win any storytelling awards, but hey, for the 90s, it feels like a pretty sweet payoff. You collect shiny rocks, you blow up space junk. Fair trade. And so, after 5.5 hours of non-stop crate smashing, bee dodging, death root cursing, and jetpack wrangling, Crash Bandicoot 2 is conquered once again.
Alright, let's talk about the music and sound.
Crash Bandicoot 2 nails this cartoony and fun vibe perfectly. The sound effects are punchy and playful. Every crate smash is like a little explosion of joy, with that satisfying thwack, followed by the classic Wumpa Fruit jingles and the one-up cha-ching. They layer those sounds so well that even after smashing crates back to back, you get this awesome pinball machine feel that just makes smashing crates addictive. And then there's the voice acting, which is top tier for a game of this era. Clancy Brown as Neo Cortex? Absolute legend.
I need your help.
His evil laugh alone is worth the price of admission. That laugh is insane, man. He brings this perfect mix of cartoon villainy and straight up charisma that really makes Cortex memorable. The other characters don't have much dialogue, but Crash's grunts and Coco's little phrases add just enough personality to keep things lively.
My battery is fried. Make yourself useful, big brother, and bring an extra battery for me.
Now onto the music, composed by Josh Mansell.
If you remember the first Crash game, the soundtrack was pretty minimalistic, almost like ambient jungle sounds with a few quirky bits. Crash 2 throws all that out the window. It's way more lively, way more memorable, and it just feels like Crash. It's timeless. Mansell mixes surf rock guitars, funky bass lines, tribal drums, and electronic touches all over the place. The soundtrack is full of catchy melodies and interesting instrument choices. For example, the jungle levels have this upbeat marimba and guitar vibe, while space levels lean into synth and even a theremin-like sound for that classic sci-fi flavor. Tracks like Crash Dash bring a darker edge with upbeat percussions that pull you right into the action. What's really clever is how the game uses variations of these tracks. The bonus levels get lighter, more playful versions of the music. Jazzier, almost carefree. On the flip side, the death roots crank up the tension with darker, more menacing remixes. So you get this dynamic shift that makes those secret paths feel more intense and important. All in all, Crash 2's sound design and music not only fit the game's fast-paced, cartoonish world perfectly, but they also elevate it, making the experience way more immersive and fun.
This soundtrack is so great that it deserves more than a top 5. Here are my top 10 songs from Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back.
Number 10. The bonus round theme for the river levels is a certified mood booster. It's bouncy, cheerful, and it's got that classic "you've earned a break" energy to it. It gives you just enough good vibes to help you forget that you probably drowned at least 5 times in the main level. Number 9. I'll be honest, in Crash 1 I got a little tired of hearing that theme over and over. The musical welcome mat of Crash 2, however, is pure fun. It's got this infectious funk groove that feels like it's pulling you straight into the game's chaotic cartoon world. The percussion is punchy, the melody playful, and those zany sound effects sprinkled throughout just scream Crash Bandicoot. Number 8. This one really stands out because it's one of the darker tracks in Crash 2. There's this mysterious vibe running through the whole thing. The groove is still there though. It's subtle, but it's got that head-nodding bounce that keeps you moving forward. Those deep bass notes almost sound like they're echoing through hollow ruins. That balance between eerie and funky is just awesome. Number 7. Most of the other boss themes in the game are perfectly serviceable, but this one's got some real flavor. It kicks off with a talk box sound. You know, that warbly robotic voice effect. It's both playful and weird, pulling you right in. The fast xylophone jumps in, adding this frantic, almost panicked energy to the whole thing. It's wild, stays catchy from start to finish, and perfectly matches the chaos of dodging Tiny as he stampedes around the arena like a gym bro who just spotted the last protein bar. Unlike the Crash 1 theme that looped endlessly on the map screen until it carved itself into my skull like a tribal migraine, the Warp Room track in Crash 2 is a breath of fresh air. It's smoother, more refined, and somehow never overstays its welcome, even though you hear it every single time you return to the Warp Room, which is a lot. It's got this easygoing funk charm that instantly puts you in the Crash zone. And just when you think it might get repetitive, it suddenly shifts and evolves, keeping things interesting. Every part of it is catchy, every loop a little jam session. I could hum this thing for hours, and I probably already have. Number 5. I'm a little surprised that this one didn't climb higher because I listened to this track a lot. It's one of my go-to comfort songs from the Crash series. This frosty banger nails the winter atmosphere, sleigh bells included. The bass line is doing some heavy lifting here, casually walking around like it's the coolest thing on the planet. And you know what? It kinda is. It's catchy, memorable, and just dripping with style. A stone cold classic. Number 4. The Polar Bear theme is absolute madness. Without a doubt, it's the wackiest, most unhinged track in the entire game. The quirky polka rhythm immediately sets the tone. There's something so playful about it, but it never lets you relax. It's pure controlled chaos. It genuinely sounds as if Polar himself is singing this track. The tempo is cranked up to match the frantic pace of the bear rides, and the rhythm section just refuses to sit still. Love every second of it. Number 3. This is synth heaven. The sewer levels are dripping with that Kraftwerk-inspired sound. This wonderfully mechanical groove makes you feel like you've stepped right into the circuitry of a living machine. You could imagine Ralf Hütter and Florian Schneider standing in the corner as the bass pulses like a factory heartbeat. It's easily one of the most distinctive tracks in the game and a perfect example of how Crash 2's soundtrack manages to be both atmospheric and incredibly fun to listen to on its own. Number 2. This is the surf rock anthem of Crash 2. Those twangy guitars are straight out of a 60s beach party. The energy is infectious, the guitar riff instantly puts you in go mode, urging you to keep moving. The rhythm section keeps things punchy and playful, with the percussion bouncing along like you're on a race against the clock. It perfectly captures the breezy vibe, but with danger lurking just under the surface. Number 1. Taking the top spot is the adrenaline-pumping soundtrack for the jetpack levels. It's a masterclass in building tension and excitement. It gradually accelerates, perfectly mirroring the increasing intensity of the gameplay. You start off cruising, feeling that steady rhythm setting the pace, and before you know it, the tempo kicks into overdrive. Heart pounding, fingers sweating. The way it builds and evolves keeps you locked in, keeping you on edge. If any song embodies the pure rush of Crash 2, this is it.
Let's wrap this up.
Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back remains, almost 3 decades later, one of the finest examples of 3D platforming on the original PlayStation. From top to bottom, it's a massive upgrade over the first game. Remember how finicky those controls felt back in '96? Not here. Crash moves with purpose. The new moves, belly flop, slide, aren't just flashy toys. They seamlessly integrate into every level, opening up secret areas, bypassing hazards, and simply making traversal feel intuitive and fun. Speaking of levels, the variety here is staggering. You've got Turtle Woods, which introduces the core mechanics, Snow Go, where slippery ice physics meet cheeky secrets, Hang 8 for gorgeously designed jetboard action, and the unforgettable Polar Bear stages, which might be my single favorite series of levels in any Crash game. Each one has its own personality, pacing, and risk-reward balance, and none overstay their welcome. The game might be decades old, but its visuals still have that that unmistakable charm. The levels are bright, colorful, and full of detail, with each warp room offering a fresh visual theme. Despite the PS1's limitations, everything pops. There's a certain handcrafted quality to the environments that makes them stand out even today. It's not just nostalgia, this game still looks great. Crash got a serious upgrade in the sequel, not just in moves but in looks too. His model is more detailed with smoother animations and a big boost in personality. It's especially noticeable during the chase sequences. His panicked eyes, flailing arms and wild expressions really sell the cartoon chaos. Then there's the secrets and gems. The thrill of spotting that hidden warp room, nailing a death route or finally grabbing a gem you've chased for hours is as satisfying now as it was when I first booted up my dad's PS1. Gem collecting isn't nearly as burdensome as before. No more perfect, punishing runs with zero margin for error, but it still demands skill, timing, and a bit of sheer stubbornness. The optional paths crank up the challenge without ever feeling cheap, and the payoff of completing each warp room to 100% is genuinely rewarding. On the audio side, Crash 2 shines just as bright. The sound effects from crate crashes to slide spin jumps are playful, immediate, and loaded with personality. They turn every action into an event. Complementing all that, Josh Mansell's score is an absolute highlight. It all flows together into a cohesive, timeless soundtrack. Functionally, the save system and warp room hub are a stroke of genius. You can tackle 5 main levels in any order, save at any time in the warp room, and dip in and out without fear of losing progress. It encourages exploration and experimentation. Want to complete the 3rd warp room before the 2nd? Go for it.
One question that popped into my head, is the game too easy?
The bosses, for example, feel a bit forgiving, but for a game that's meant to be enjoyed as much as it's meant to be conquered, I'd rather err on the side of accessibility. Crash 2 has a sneaky little system in place that adjusts the difficulty if you keep dying. It's called dynamic difficulty adjustment, and Naughty Dog built it in on purpose. If you fail repeatedly in one spot, the game might give you an Aku Aku mask, add a new checkpoint, or even slow down that deadly boulder chasing you. Smart design, and you might not even notice it unless you're really struggling. It strikes a perfect balance between welcoming new players and offering depth for completionists. As a kid, I didn't care so much for the gems, but today I just have to get them. If I had to nitpick though, sometimes they overdid it with the backtracking. Less of that and we're golden. Nowadays you can play Crash 2 as part of the Sane Trilogy. The remaster brings sharper visuals and smoother performance, but honestly, the original PS1 version still holds up as a visual feast for its era. I personally love booting up the classic disc. Nostalgia hits differently when you hear the original title screen music and look at that wacky polygon Bandicoot face. All told, Crash 2 is not just my favorite Crash game when it comes to its platforming games. It's one of my favorite platformers, period. It refines the formula, expands it with flair, and wraps everything up in a package bursting with color, character, and pure unadulterated fun.
If you haven't revisited it in years, or if you've never experienced it, do yourself a favor. Grab a controller, crank up the volume, and prepare to spin, slide, and belly flop through one of gaming's all-time greats. You're in for an absolute blast.
Hey everyone, this is GFrom. Thank you so much for watching episode 8 of season 5. Feel free to rate, comment, subscribe, and follow me on social media. You can also support me on Patreon if you like. I'll see you later. Have a nice day.